one of the early Word Ups.
Yeah.
It used to be done in the round on
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah.
And there was always a scented candle burning because, you know, the forum can get a bit whiffy.
Yeah.
There was just always a scented candle. And I actually, without realising it, set fire. And
Nice.
then I went to read the next one and I picked it up.
We didn't like the candles. Hello, this is Coco. I am sat on my big chat sofa. I don't normally get to sit here, actually. I normally get to sit there or there. That's a nice seat. Anyway, today I'm talking to you because I want you to come to my soapbox race, the TW Soapbox Race, which is taking place at Dunallen Park on the 24th of June. If you don't know anything about it, you need to go to twsoapboxrace.com. You need to check out the website, have a look at what's going on. We've got Rosemary Schrager, our celebrity chef ambassador, who will be there on the day, driving down the track in her cart, along with 30 plus other businesses who basically, I give them a chassis, they pimp it up into their cart, and then they raise for a multitude of charities. We've already raised over 83,000 in the last 3 that we've done. We want to smash the 100k mark, so we need you guys to get behind us to do it. Believe it or not, this event is not just hay bales. There is a little bit of thought that goes into it, and that does cost money. So we do ask you please to support us by buying tickets, coming along, cheering on businesses, helping charities. We've got food and drink there. We've got local and live there. We'll be listing all the food vendors that are going to be there, all local. We've got crafts, climbing walls, golf, all kinds of things. So all kinds of activities for the kids. Music for the interloads, the races, and the races get to have 2 or 3 goes. So it's a really fun day. Starts about 10, finishes at 6. Easy peasy. Tickets are cheap as chips. So honestly, if you want to do something good, you want to have a fun day out with your family, 24th of June, get your tickets, twsoapbox.com, and get to Dunallen Park and see me and many others racing down that hill and hopefully not crashing. So far, the only person that's crashed is me. See you there. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Big Chat. Well, this is our monthly episode that we do with our dear friends at Word Up, which we love doing, our collab with Word Up. So this is a Big Chat Word Up collab episode. And I am chuffed to be here because Dan can't be here. So I'm sitting in with my co-host, but she's going to lead the show, Hannah G.
Hi.
Hi, babe.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good. We're going to get you down to Word Up soon to read some words.
Straight away.
Straight in.
Right away. Well, I was going to come down and do some words, wasn't I, last week?
Yes.
And then my tenant's boiler broke.
Oh.
So I know it's a bit of a lame excuse, but she did kind of need hot water for her
It's
son.
kind of essential,
So I went round there. But no, I will, yes. When
Good.
is the next Word Up?
It is the first Wednesday of the month, and I should know which is the first Wednesday of the month, and I don't.
It doesn't matter. It's the first
I've just
Wednesday.
had children off for 3 weeks, so my children have gone back to school today, so now I'm like, right, try and organise my life, and I haven't looked at that yet.
It's going to be the week after this comes out.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be next week.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Very exciting. So who is this?
This is the wonderful David Smith, a Word Up regular, one of my favourite poets at Word Up, because a lot of poetry is very serious, and David is a very funny poet. And yes, I'm looking forward to finding out more about how... Well, should we just dive in?
Yeah,
Can I just
do
start
it.
asking him questions? Because there's loads of things I want to ask him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Hi, David.
Hello, Hannah.
How did you get into poetry?
I've no idea. I can tell you the first time I realised that I liked poetry
Yeah.
and that poetry wasn't what I thought poetry was.
Okay.
And because when I was little, my family were always there were rhymes and things flying around, most of them quite blue and that kind of thing. But there were always silly little songs and ditties and that kind of stuff going on. And then when I was about 7 or 8, I discovered a book by Spike Milligan called Silly Verse for Kids.
Yes,
Oh, I've got
yes,
that.
yeah.
Pink cover.
Yeah, it's...
I've got that.
And that was the first time I realised that what I was doing and what I was reciting for my family was poetry. And so that was the first stepping stone, was silly verse for kids. I've been mimicking Spike stuff ever since. And then sort of he also did his first book of serious poetry, which was Small Dreams of a Scorpion.
Oh, not read that.
No, I
And
haven't read that.
I bought it thinking it was going to be more of silly verse for kids and a dustbin of Milligan and that kind of thing. And it was just bang. He was talking about the soldiers dying in the war and that kind of thing, and rabbits with myxomatosis, and there was a poem in there called Value 67, which I think probably set me up for a lot of the cynical worldview that I've got now.
Oh, really?
Because it was just sort of saying about people have got their values wrong, and they're chasing the wrong kind. They're interested in the wrong things, the material things, and they're overlooking all of the wonderful things that are around them every day. And so that was when I realised that there was serious poetry too that was accessible to me, because up until that point it had all been Wordsworth and that kind of thing if we heard anything at school. I think the only other one who sneaked in was Edward Lear.
Oh, I love Edward Lear.
Far and few of the land where the Jumblies live. That was, you know, that was, so that again I've been recreating ever since.
Yeah.
But,
it's interesting, isn't it? Like, I'm just thinking my favourite children's book for my children is Dr. Seuss, All the Places You'll Go, which is obviously poetry. And it's never occurred to me before that my favourite children's book is, but it does affect you from such a young age. It's obviously the importance of reading to your kids and giving them a variety of texts to stimulate their minds. But yeah, that's really interesting. So you kind of a young man, and you're reading all this. Boy, young man.
I was a child.
Yes.
Really.
Okay.
But what you were saying again is, you know, about Dr. Seuss and that kind of thing. Now, the earliest things that our children learn, it's all rhymes.
Yes.
It's
nursery rhymes. Yeah.
You know, and even, or sing along A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And we teach them all of that. And then now we sort of tell children, particularly younger children, poetry can be anything you want. It can be, it doesn't have to rhyme. It doesn't have to be metered. It doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be this. It doesn't have to be that. And then they get to about 10 or 11 and suddenly say, oh, right, you've got to put that away now. You've got to start reading all this stuff instead. And that's when most people get turned right off of the idea of poetry.
Yeah, I mean, well, as a mum with kids at school, obviously my kids have had some amazing English teachers, but I just feel that I feel sorry for teachers because they have to teach so much technicality that the creativity is almost lost. I mean, obviously they are doing creative stuff at school, but you know, it's about understanding all the grammatical terms and obviously there is an importance in that, but actually why don't we just let them write whatever and then go, oh, by the way, there is a rule here, but you know, this is great. It's
also, I think it's like when we talked to Lee on this, you know, last episode, it's the freedom it enables you, it's the release it gives you when you write words down. You know, there's something cathartic about writing something out. I mean, they say get your thoughts out your head, you know, and it does, it shifts something, doesn't it? There might be silly thoughts, there might be serious thoughts, but there's something, and there's also something, you know, I mean, I like to write notes and lists and things, but there is something about writing something. It's some kind of process. I don't know what it is, but it kind of magically moves it. And I think with words and poetry that can be really applicable because, yeah, I used to write incredibly dark poetry. And actually the words I wrote for Word Up, my partner said to me, "When you can't share that."
Oh, you can. I'm going to tell him off for that.
I mean, I've recorded it, so I will send it to you.
Brilliant.
But it was a bit of a life story, but it was one that I needed to get out. And at that time, I think I was lying in bed not feeling very well, so I don't know whether that's the first one I'll read. But it's there's a poem in me, you know. But there's also, I can go around the house, and I've actually thought I'm going a bit mad recently, madder, where I talk to myself in poetry. I'll like, or in rhymes. I'll say things like if something's annoying me, and I can't think of an example, but I do it in rhymes, and they're silly little rhymes. They just make me laugh. So if someone's like, I'm like, and it's just a way of expressing. And for me, it moves emotion, which is it's a good way to regulate emotion as well, and humour and. Your sadness, all these things that we feel, they're important to express, I think.
Totally. When did you start writing, David?
I think I've probably always written in my head in the way that you're I mean, what you were saying about pottering around the house. And a couple of years ago, I did something for the BBC. And just before I went, I made a bit of toast and it burnt. And by the time, and I thought, the thing that annoys me most when making toast is when a toaster won't do what a toaster is supposed to. And I ended up reading that on the radio about 2 hours later. And it was, and I think on the same, we went up on the train and there was another little couplet there, which was, I knew a chap who wouldn't mind the gap. Now he gets grumpy when we call him Stumpy. And that's going.
My head.
That's my head constantly. And I have to try and filter all of that crap, and then actually get through a day.
How did you discover Word Up then? How did that happen?
I think I was. I used to be involved in the Tunbridge Wells Writers, which was a writing group that ran for about 9 or 10 years in Tunbridge Wells.
Okay.
And I think probably Word Up, I was at the first one.
Oh, okay, we're done.
I think Carolyn Gray at the Forum was a member of the Tunbridge Wells Writers, and she asked the Tunbridge Wells Writers to go. And I'm, you know, I might be right in saying that the first audience for Word Up was all the Tunbridge Wells Writers.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
And, you know, so I've been involved with it right from the start. And then obviously I've got my own sort of open mic thing, which evolved from the writers as well, which is now called Voices.
Mm-hmm.
What's Voices though? Can I ask that? What is Voices?
Well,
I'm just intrigued.
Well, it started as what I found a little bit frustrating about most open mics.
Yeah.
Was if you went to there's a great line, but am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. That's
I mean, not too much, please.
No. It's I'm not going to go
I'll
into
just cut you out and I'll edit this. It's not.
You
live,
can
you're right.
you can beat me if you like, but there's a line in Scroobius Pip's song, and he says, "Don't leave the open mic as soon as you've finished your shitty little poem." And that's what used to frustrate me. If you went to I've been to music open mics where the musicians have come in, tuned up their guitar while somebody else is performing, spoken amongst themselves, got up and done their one song, then put their guitar back in their case and buggered off. Yeah. And that really used to frustrate me. And so the other thing about poetry open mic, Peppy, who's my partner, my writing partner, I should hasten to add.
Great name though.
When we started performing, we started taking poetry into other places. We started taking it into pubs. We started taking it to regular open mics that were mainly music based and that kind of thing, because we felt that was where it naturally belonged. Yeah. So when we started Voices, we wanted it to be a completely open format. Yeah. As long as the words were original, they could be lyrics, and you could come along and sing a song. You could come along and read a short story or a piece of flash fiction. Yeah. That evolved to the point that we now do comedy sketches. Yeah. We do monologues. the thing I've put animations up online that have got poetry or songs on them and that kind of thing. And that's getting incorporated into what we do now. So we've got a projector and we'll have little animations up on the screen and that kind of thing. So that's what Voices is.
And how often do you run Voices?
Well, we haven't done a Voices for a long time.
Okay.
Because the emphasis at Word Up has slightly shifted.
Yeah.
And you're now doing more spoken word that's not poetry.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of music in the mix as well.
Yeah.
So that sort of coincided with Peppy and I were doing other things. And we didn't get time to run Voices on a regular basis. And we didn't have a regular venue.
Yeah.
And now you do, so beautifully aligned. Hannah G comes in. Whoop, there we go.
Well, so that's Word Up. We do Voices now. We tend to do it more as a variety show.
Okay. Yep.
And so we've got one coming up for Tunbridge Calling. We're doing a fundraiser for Tunbridge Calling in May, which is called Nuts in May.
Yeah.
And it's Peppy and I will be doing some songs. We will be doing some poetry. We will be doing a little bit from Tunbridge Wells the musical. And then we've got some friends coming along to perform some sketches. We've got a musician on board who's going to do some songs with us and do some of his own and that kind of thing. And then in the middle of that, there's a little bit of an open mic section.
Brilliant.
So that other people can come. And that's what we've tended to do more now rather than trying to cart the whole paraphernalia that you need for an open mic around with us to every venue that we go to. And that's the beauty of the forum. It's just there.
Yeah.
And you show up, there's a mic there and off you go. But if you've got to get the PA and the telly and everything else in the back of a little car.
It's hard work.
It's
Can I you picked up there about Tunbridge Wells the musical, which I've heard a few things from, which I absolutely love. How did you come up with the idea of Tunbridge Wells musical? Has it ever been made into a production as such? Can you make it into a production? I've got so many questions about it.
Well, it was a conceit. A lot of the poetry, you were saying about getting things out, and I used to write a lot of angry poetry.
Brilliant.
And sometimes it would just be angry, and sometimes it would just be sort of sarcastic and observational comedy, really. And Tunbridge Wells is a great place for observational comedy. So Tunbridge Wells the musical was a conceit that grew out of that. And then it was just, we had songs, we had some poems, and we had some bits and bobs, but we pretended that we were presenting excerpts from it, because the huge stage production we couldn't possibly take into the, it was like My Fair Lady or something. There's these huge choreographed pieces that they can't do. So that's the conceit on which it is built. And there is actually a whole musical's worth of songs. Yeah. And I've got the story as well. We just haven't got a production company.
What's the rough storyline?
Right.
You're the lead.
No,
I'm not.
No, Hannah.
No, it's Charles and Peppy's going to hate that Charles and Sarah have just relocated to Tunbridge Wells from London. They're a couple of DFLs. Yep. Well, they haven't actually located. They've come down and they're in a they're looking at properties in Tunbridge Wells to buy. Yeah. Because all of their friends have moved down from London and are living down here, and they want to come. So they're looking for properties. And the estate agent is telling them all about what Tunbridge Wells life is like.
Fantastic. Oh, gosh, can you imagine the spiel on that?
So then that leads into, it's a bit like A Christmas Carol.
Yes, yeah.
In the I think, what's the estate agent's called? It's Nash Nash North and Thackeray.
Oh yeah.
At the estate
yes.
agent.
Brilliant.
And they're a bit like the Three Ghosts in A Christmas Carol.
Brilliant.
And then they introduce different eras of Tunbridge Wells life and the Tunbridge Wells lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, and that cues in the songs and everything else. But the opening scene is Charles commuting home from a hard day at the office to Tunbridge Wells, and he's just dreaming of getting him home and eating the tagine that Sarah's made for him, and then they're going to go out to Jazz on the Pants because it's a Thursday night.
Jazz on the Pants.
That's it. That's the opening number, and then it just gets more and more tongue in cheek as you go along.
Could you perform any of the pieces from that now? I know I'm really putting you on the spot. If you can't, don't worry.
I can sing you Sarah is Waiting for Me if you like.
Please
yes.
Well, it's an a cappella number, so
perfect. If you're up for it.
I on the spot, I probably won't remember the words.
Okay.
Because the brain goes tharn, but I can try. So and I would usually be emoting on a stage or just standing like that because
just imagine you're on your stage, David.
Right, I'm on the train and I'm hanging. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's Tunbridge Wells calling to me. I've been stuck on this train for 2 hours again. Delays around Orpington due to the rain. I'm soaked to the skin and I've stood all the way. My brolly is broken. Oh God, what a day. But Sarah is waiting for me. Yes, Sarah is waiting for me. She's opened a bottle and cooked a tagine. My favourite red chinos are ironed and clean. We're going out later for Jazz on the Pants. The music is dire, but oh, the romance. And Sarah is waiting for me. Yes, Sarah is waiting for me. There can be no disputing. But it's worth the commuting when Sarah is waiting for me. I told you I'd trip up. There is brilliant. A second verse, but I won't do that.
That's amazing.
So have you ever spoken to someone like Twads or... You know,
it's funny you should
because surely I can't imagine anything better than the Tunbridge Wells Amateur Dramatic Society doing this. It just sounds fantastic.
It's funny you should say that. When we do it, we're the Tunbridge Wells Amateur Theatrical Society.
Okay, yes.
And our T-shirt is just the initials. So
I love that.
So, but funny you should mention Twads because I was speaking to somebody from Twads at the Tunbridge Wells Consortium meeting via Zoom the other week.
Yeah.
And she was saying that some of the Twads players are interested in doing some smaller productions outside of the bigger productions that they do. And I said, if they want to do something that's a bit humorous and light, we have something. We've never heard back.
Oh.
You might now.
Yeah.
But we might now, yeah.
I think we should start a petition.
I mean...
I just
surely
the Tunbridge Wells Fringe would be good. Yeah,
surely the Fringe Festival you should be doing something there.
Yeah, but then the nice thing about it is the conceit that there is this huge stage production.
Yeah,
and then there's just two people standing there singing these songs.
Brilliant.
I love that. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
I know it is.
I mean, I at the end thought you were going to rhyme it with a certain person that no one really likes on this planet. I'm not going to say, but we know it rhymes with commuting. I was thinking, where's this going? But no, it was brilliant. But that would make sense because you wrote it a long time ago. But it was it's brilliant. I think it's Hannah, you're right.
I know.
Gotta make it
People,
happen.
get in touch. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
So you wrote the Tunbridge Wells musical. So how did you grow up in Tunbridge Wells?
Yeah, I'm Tunbridge Wells born and bred.
Okay.
Which is my voice is sort of half estuary vales and half silly Sussex. So it depends who I'm talking to. Some people say, "Oh, you're a bit of a Cockney, aren't you?" And other people think I come from the West Country because they pick up.
I'm so glad you say that because people either think I'm Australian or they think I'm from Cornwall.
Right. It's
like, what is that?
Well, it could be the Kentish thing is very much a mix of the two.
Is that what it is?
And it's Kent and Sussex border. I didn't know it, but a sister-in-law of mine said, "Oh, you've got a bit of silly Sussex in your voice."
Silly
Silly
Sussex.
Sussex.
I love that because people always ask me about my accent, and I do a bit of the old Cockney Hawaii, you know, when I need to. But yeah, silly Sussex. I'm going to say that from now on because I do.
That's the bit that sounds a bit West Country
It
in
does
a
sound a bit
Kentish
West
voice. It's the Sussex influence, and.
I'm learning a lot, Hannah.
I'll probably get
He's good.
hate mail now for calling Sussex silly. I'm not calling
It's
Sussex.
not silly. It's lovely. It's a lovely silly.
So what did you do? You went to uni. You did your degree.
No, I did it with the OU.
Oh, you did it in OU.
And I was an old man by then.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
So what did you? So growing up, so you start writing some poetry, kind of as a kid, as a man. How does this continue into your life then? Do you work in that arena or?
No, it was just something I've always written, and most of it has just gone in drawers at home or just been thrown away. So that was.
So it's always been a hobby.
But it's always been a hobby. And then when I sort of did the OU degree, when I started doing that, one of the things was...
What was your degree in, sorry?
It was in literature and creative writing.
Yeah.
So, and for one of the modules, we had to submit... I didn't realise, we were told that we had to write a submission letter and send in a submission. And I thought we had to do that. We didn't actually have to do it.
Okay.
And I did, and I got published in a couple of online magazines.
Amazing.
And that kind of thing. And I think by then I'd joined the Kent and Sussex Poetry Society.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd submitted for their folio and made the folio, and then I had to stand up and read in public for the first time. And I was shaking I was terrified.
Oh, wow, that gives me great hope because I find it really hard, and you're such a natural when you perform. So to know that you started from a place of terror is great for me.
No, I
me
actually, one of the early word ups,
Yeah.
it used to be done in the round on
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah.
And there was always a scented candle burning because, you know, the forum can get a bit whiffy.
Yeah.
There was just always a scented candle. And I actually, without realising it, set fire. And
Nice.
then I went to read the next one, and I picked it up.
And we didn't like the candles.
But it literally was. And then we started doing more and more. By the time we got to the voices thing, it was originally called Read Your Words, and that was Carolyn Gray started that.
Yeah.
And then when Carolyn stopped doing it, we took it over, but with the intention of putting more things, music and song and that kind of thing into it. So somebody said, "Oh, you ought to call it Voices because there's, it's not only about poetry now. It's not only." So that was when it changed to Voices. When I was doing that, I realised that I'd stopped shaking. I was reading a poem and I'd stopped shaking.
That's really interesting.
And I thought,
do you know what made that happen?
I don't, but I just thought, I don't like that.
Okay.
Whatever it was,
Yeah.
the fear of going on was part of the joy of doing the thing,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'd always crash the day afterwards. I hated,
Wow.
I used to get that when I was a yoga teacher. My ex always used to say as I was going out the door, "Have fun," and I was a yoga teacher and I loved yoga. But I would get angry before I went to a yoga class. Probably shouldn't share that with everyone.
No,
I did, but it was my process. But when I got in my class, I was like,
"There's a poem in Angry Yoga." Right?
Yeah.
Which one of you ladies is going to take it out?
But what I mean is, it was my way of warming up for myself and my students.
Okay.
And then when I was there, I was totally zen. But when I say angry, I'd get a bit like...
bit tetchy, just a bit frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like nervous.
Yeah.
It was nervous energy that would come out like a bit snappy, and then I'd come back and it'd be like I'd taken a long hot bath for the last 5 hours. You know, it's amazing. So, but I didn't like the bit before, but I realised that bit had to happen
Well,
in order to do my class well.
Yeah, it was just. I don't know. I just stopped shaking, and I thought I don't like that. So I thought next time, that's what the first time I got up and sang.
Brilliant.
And I hadn't sang in public. The one time I sang in public was when I was about 10, and it was at the Trinity Theatre when it was still a church. And my brother and I had written a hymn.
Oh wow!
And we were supposed to sing it with the Sunday school teacher's son playing guitar. And just when we got there, my brother said, I can't sing I've lost my voice. And he was lying, of course, but I had to get up on stage and sing on my own.
Oh, wow.
And it was, the noise that came out of me was like a canary farting on a sheet of tin. It wasn't musical in any way, shape or form. And so I didn't sing for another 40 years.
Wow.
And then I thought, well, and then I realised actually I quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
So now people hit me to stop me singing.
It's amazing, isn't it? How something, I mean, I find this whole thing, this on my journey with poetry, like having only started writing it about 18 months ago and then going, oh, now I'm going to perform it. I've got no idea how to do that. I'm just going to give that a go, and starting to perform and then having to overcome fear, which I just find it so weird that I can rehearse something and I can be like, yeah, I'm totally fine. And then you stand up in front of a room of people and all of a sudden this thing takes over you and you're like, and you start exactly that. Your body reacts and you shake and you're in your own head. And it's so weird, isn't it? And then I'm like, logical me goes, but why am I worrying about what anyone else thinks? It doesn't matter. Like it literally doesn't matter. Like that logical part of my brain I can access. But then, I mean, to sing, oh my gosh, that's a whole nother level of
well, it's like
scariness.
It's like dancing, isn't it? It's like I always have great admiration for people that can dance, you know, without drinking them.
Yeah,
I mean, I've done that now, but I didn't ever think I could do it. Actually, I danced just the same, if not better. Yeah. But it was funny because I always used to, my nerves, I'd always think, oh, I need to just to have a little tipple, because it's that exposing yourself, isn't it? It's that vulnerability of singing, dancing, words, anything, talking,
expressing ourselves. Effectively, that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
We have a fear of expressing ourselves.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I suppose people say dance like nobody's watching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I suppose my view is that I sing like nobody's listening. And usually they're not.
Well, I was listening.
There'll be a lot of people listening when we're doing Tunbridge Wells the musical, David, when we've actually, got that on the West End.
Amazing.
Taking it all the way.
Yeah, we did have the musician that used to do it with us, left us for a prog rock band.
They're going to regret that, aren't they?
His chickens are come home to roost when we're on in the West End.
Yeah.
But,
we've got to talk about the Tunbridge Wells Poetry Festival.
The Tunbridge Wells Poetry Festival we're in our third year with the current committee.
Yeah.
We've brought some amazing performers to Tunbridge Wells.
Totally.
We had Henry Normal was our headliner at the Trinity last year. The year before that, we had Luke Wright at Salomon's House.
Amazing.
We brought Henry back a little while ago. We connected up with him for Kent Libraries, and he came and did something for us in Southborough Hub.
Brilliant.
This year we've got Harry Baker as our headliner.
Amazing.
Do you know Harry Baker?
Nope.
Harry Baker is performing at the Tunbridge Wells Forum.
So good, the Forum.
And that's we've taken over the Forum on a Sunday afternoon and evening for the past 2 years. And the afternoon has been what we've called a family fun day.
Lovely.
And then the evening has been basically one of the Voices shows that I was just talking about with sketches, but all of it themed around poetry. This year we decided I couldn't be bothered to write another show. So we've combined our headliner with the fun day.
Yeah.
So Harry Baker is our headliner. He's at the Forum. Tickets are £10 £10. That's the
Bargain.
That's the 18th of June. And if you don't,
It's day after my birthday.
if you don't know Harry Baker, check him out. He is
will.
a genius. He has won so many awards, he doesn't know what to do with them anymore.
I bet you could sing a song about that.
What kind of poet is he then?
He's a true performance poet. It's always been about working with an audience and that kind of thing. He's got 5-star reviews for everything that he puts his name to.
Amazing.
I mean, I don't know who it was. Hyperbole, I know, but BBC Radio 1 said he's the greatest performer that's ever lived.
Wow.
That's
It is a little bit bold, isn't it? But, but he's really, really good.
Fantastic.
And in
Look forward
fact,
to that.
he did do, when he was first getting going, I'm pretty sure he did a word up at the Forum.
Well done,
many
Dan.
years ago.
Spotting him early.
Yeah.
So
He's a bit of a talent spotter, Dan.
So he's our headliner. We've got a ton of other stuff on. We've got a wonderful poet called Rain Geegan who's doing a Q&A and book signing and readings at Waterstones in Tunbridge Wells.
Brilliant.
We've got pop-up poetry in the Trinity again.
Yeah.
We've got 3 open mics across the 3 weeks of the festival.
Brilliant.
One with Peppy and I hosting.
Yeah.
One with Word Up hosting at the
in
George.
June. Yeah.
The Peppy and I is at Evenflow in St John's Road.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing
The George.
The George.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
And then Kevin Scully,
Mm-hmm.
who runs an open no mic in a tiny little pub in Cowden. That's actually a converted house. It's somebody's living room, the pub.
Oh, this sounds
And he
cool.
runs a tiny little open mic in there.
And
we've got him, he's in the Sussex Basement
okay.
on the following Wednesday.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks of open mics.
Amazing. So loads of that. And
Love
then
it.
last year when I came, I booked onto as many workshops as I could, having just become a poet myself. And they were amazing. They were so brilliant. Have you got any workshops this year?
We've trimmed back the workshops a little bit because it was there was so much last year.
Yes, it was amazing, the content.
There was just so much that people were, having to decide what they were going to miss.
Yeah,
which is
totally.
not a good thing. So
where can they find out all this information?
It's on our lovely website, which is Tunbridge Wells Poetry Festival.com. Is it Tunbridge Wells Poetry Festival.com or TW?
Read it out, and then anyone that's watching, check out all their workshops,
just gonna have a look. It's
everything
not on
they're
this
doing for the next 3 weeks.
Front cover.
I think it is
website.
Tunbridge Wells Poetry Festival.com.
Yeah, if you just put that into Google, you are going to find Tunbridge Wells Poetry Festival. And like I said, as someone new to poetry, who went along to as many events as I could last year, it was absolutely fantastic. I learnt so many things in the workshops, and then the evenings, just so many brilliant poets.
I mean, it's just,
and we are so lucky in this
We
town
are.
to have someone or have a group of people who basically give up their time to organise this stuff, so we get to go to it. So people must go. Because
people must go.
They must go.
You must come.
We must go.
We must go.
I wish I didn't have to go because it's been so nice to talk to you, but we must go. I could talk to you all day long.
One other thing I will very quickly get in for anybody that's out there, all of the open mics and the pop-up poetry and the thing that we're not calling the fun day this year. It's vocal and live, we're calling it.
Vocal and live, like it.
All of those are completely free.
Brilliant. Amazing.
It's
so nice.
And we try and keep everything. As I say, I think Harry Baker is £10 this year.
Yeah, totally accessible.
And,
amazing.
We make it as accessible as we possibly
lovely.
can, and we all do it for love, and it's done on a shoestring budget. So if anybody out there wants to sponsor us,
yes, sponsor, come find
We
Tunbridge
all
Wells
do it
Poetry
out of love on a
Festival.
that's not actually true. The Kent and Sussex Poetry Society are very generous. They've looked after us. Without them, it wouldn't be able to go. So I should give them a shout.
Yes. Absolutely.
Anyone else you want to shout out to, David?
Just all the venues that support us, the Forum. As I say, I think Fonthill Pubs own two of the venues. Evenflow Cafe. without venues, we couldn't do anything.
Totally.
And if the venues are charging, then obviously we have to charge. So when the venues don't charge, that's that enables us to give it away rather than charging for it. So that's wonderful.
Well, I tell you what,
That's
he's been
gone
a
so
fabulous
quick.
co-host.
Oh, thank you.
You really have. I might be here on the next one, or it could be Hannah and Dan. Who knows? But all I know is get to Word Up next week.
Yeah.
Get to the literary festival. It was lovely to talk to you.
The poetry festival.
The poetry festival.
Poetry festival.
The poetry
The
festival.
literary festival is in May, I think. March.
The poetry festival. All the links are going to be low, David. Don't you worry. I'll make sure everyone
But
knows.
do go to the literary festival too. But save all your money to spend at the poetry festival.
That's a good way to end. I like that. If you could you make a little song about that?
I probably could, but not on the spur of the moment.
Well, it's been lovely to have you on today,
Thank you.
and I hope you've enjoyed it.
It's been different. I don't like the cameras looking at me, but
They're
because
not looking at you.
believe it or not, I'm very shy, really. But
Well, if this is you shy, goodness me, I look forward to seeing you not shy.
it's an overreaction to
You
shyness.
should. Anyone who comes to Word Up is lucky enough to see David. He
him.
comes quite frequently, and he's always a fantastic
I'm
poet
looking
for us to
forward
have.
it. I'm looking forward to
perform.
seeing you again.
Yeah.
And thank you, Hannah.
Thank you so much, Coco, for having us. You're so kind to give us a
I'm not having
podcast.
us. This is us doing it together.
I
It's our
know, but
first podcast together, so it's beautiful.
yeah,
it's a
it is just
beautiful
us two.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. We've only been trying to do one together for about the last
Since I met you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
started dating you.
She's a natural.
Dan, you're fired.
Don't tell him.
Anyway, listen, it was great, you guys. So keep doing what you're doing, and I will say some words next week at Word Up.
Yay!
Okay, all right. Have
Thanks,
an amazing
Coco.
day. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.